If you're the kind of person who always wants to know what's happening in the world, if you enjoy staying informed, forming opinions, and explaining complex global issues in clear and persuasive ways, then extemporaneous speaking, or Extemp, might be your perfect event. So in this video, let's explain exactly what Extemp is, how it works, and what makes it different from other events, and what you need to commit to it if you choose. So Extemp is a competitive speaking event where you deliver a 7-minute fully memorized speech, but here's a catch. You only get 30 minutes to prepare for it. So you are preparing and going to speak extemporaneously or in an impromptu fashion. And I'll explain exactly how it works in just a moment. But just to flag it, there are two types. There's national extemp, where you'll only talk about domestic issues that are going on in the United States. And then there's international extemp, which could talk about any country globally. Obviously, international extemp is rooted in the types of current issues that are trending right now in the world. So you wouldn't receive a question about a country that really isn't trending in the news. It's more frequently going to be those bigger hot button issues, but it will require you to become an expert in each of the regions of the world. There's no right or wrong choice there, but you will have to choose one. But let's return to that at the end of this video. Let's instead just really focus on exactly how Extemp works. So it begins by you drawing 3 questions on a current issue. And there'll be 3 current event questions. These can range from anything like what is imagine next year or in 2026, there could be questions about which political party is projected to win the midterms. There could be questions today about what will the impact of tariffs be on the economy. There could be international extemp questions about the status of potential peace talks in Ukraine, or perhaps geopolitical events going on in the South China Sea. You could receive any question like that. And so you'll get 3 questions. You'll choose one. You'll spend the next half hour researching, outlining, and mentally rehearsing your speech. And after those 30 minutes, you'll walk into the round and you'll speak, and you'll have no notes. You'll have to do that all from memory. And so let me give a couple of notes here. I think first, something that extempers really like is you'll never have to choose a topic. Choosing a topic is actually a very, very difficult task. And original advocacy, original oratory, info, all of those speakers, that's one of the most difficult hurdles to overcome, is landing on a topic that you can feel really solid about. And I spend a lot of time with those speakers in the original speech events, as they oftentimes struggle to find a topic that'll work with them. In Extemp, you never have that issue. You get 3 questions, you just pick the one that you want to speak on the most, and then at the end of that speech, you'll never talk about that again, unless, I guess, you receive another question on it. And it also allows you to stay up to date on current events. So whereas the other speech events go deep on one topic, Extemp speakers get to develop both breadth and depth across a ton of different topics. And so let's talk about this prep piece, because this is definitely the piece that really intimidates students. And I think a lot of students, when they're first starting, think that Extemp would be the most impossible and insurmountable of the speech events, but I actually want to flip this around. Yes, this is going to feel very difficult at first. If I were to ask you to do this right now with absolutely no experience under your belt, then yeah, it would probably feel very impossible, and the idea of getting to write, research, and memorize a 10-minute speech that you prepare over the course of a couple of months probably feels more appealing. But I want to think about this as a learnable skill, which is the skill of fluency. All of our extempers that go through this training program, by the end, if they put in the work, they will be able to stand up and give a 7-minute speech. It's like developing a muscle, like running a mile. At first, you're not going to be very good at it, but if you start training daily and weekly, then by the end of a semester, you're going to be a lot faster at running a mile. And I think that this skill of gaining fluency when it comes to Extemp is a lot more achievable than other speech events, because the structure and the arguments of Extemp are the most straightforward. And what I mean by that is there's a very clear formula. And so let's look at exactly what this clear formula is so that you have a better sense of what you'd be stepping into. As you can see here, it's very straightforward. You will answer the question that you got up here. You will have a thesis, and you will give your answer and then have 3 reasons why that's true. Body paragraph 1 is reason 1, body paragraph 2 is reason 2, and body paragraph 3 is reason 3. And literally every Extemp follows that formula. The answer is yes for 3 reasons. The answer is no for 3 reasons. The answer is the US should do this for 3 reasons. And so everything boils down to that structure, which is the most formulaic and straightforward of any of the speech events. In addition, the types of arguments or the types of questions that you get in Extemp necessitates or allows you to give arguments that I think are a little bit more straightforward, right? If you're asking who will win the midterm election in 2026, that's a question that's pretty straightforward in terms of what you have to do to prove that argument. Whereas I think getting to something like proving that there is some problematic mindset that is motivating the actions and behaviors of people, or finding the hidden layers of an informative speech topic, those I think are a little bit more difficult. And that doesn't mean that at the end of the day, like, you shouldn't do those events. It's just different types of difficulties. The difficulty over here is learning the skill of fluency and becoming more up to date on current events, whereas the skills of original oratory and info are slightly different. So hopefully that gives you a pretty nice overview. Like I said, national extemp, those questions focus on domestic issues. So that'd be U.S. politics, legislation, social change, education, healthcare, the economy, etc. Whereas international extemp is more on global affairs, so international conflicts, diplomacy, international organizations, the relationships between countries, trade deals, etc. There's no right or wrong answer in terms of which type of extemp is best. It's whatever one you feel more passionate about. Some people really want to dig into the weeds of national domestic topics. Some people love talking about global affairs. That's really up to you. So, at the end of the day, I think Extemp develops some of the most valuable skills that you'd be able to learn: critical thinking on the spot, argument construction, organization, research literacy, real-time synthesis under pressure. And you'll be able to learn how to break down complex issues in 7 minutes. You'll be able to construct a clear and persuasive thesis and support your claims with logic and credible evidence. And you'll be able to speak with clarity and confidence, with no script. And so I think Extemp is for students who really want to be informed, who want to speak with precision, and who enjoy applying their knowledge in real time. Yeah, it's fast and it's rigorous, but it's surprisingly fun once you get the hang of it. Final note I want to end on is there is a weekly commitment. The Extemp process is going to be very different than the other speech events. OA Info, they're going to jump into what you would imagine probably speech writing to be: researching a topic, breaking that down into steps, developing a more fleshed out topic proposal with actual subpoints, then getting to a more in-depth outline, and then eventually writing a draft and revising that draft and then memorizing their speech. So they're going to be on a whole speech writing journey. Extemp, that doesn't make sense. Extemp, what we need to do is make sure that you can get those reps to really grow that muscle of being able to give an Extemp speech in only 30 minutes by the final speech day or by your first novice tournament. And so to that end, we need you to be able to attend Wednesdays from 3 to 4 p.m. in Loc 204. The coach for Extemp, Dr. Sullivan, very, very stellar coach. She will be your guide on that Extemp journey, along with the Extemp captains and the Extemp team. But it's really important, we found, to be able to attend that weekly meeting, to get integrated into the team, to be able to give 1 to 2 speeches a week, to master the skill of fluency as opposed to speech writing, to be able to share group research and talk about issues together as a team. That type of team dynamic is really important in Extemp, since everybody is on a journey together to gain those same skills and to become as versed in current events as possible. Whereas original oratory, original advocacy, and info, everybody's a little bit more on their individual journey. There are team meetings for those events, but I'm not mandating them for freshmen in rhetoric because I understand that not everybody has Wednesdays available. So if you really want to attend if you really want to do Extemp, but you're unsure about whether or not your other activities or commitments would allow you to be able to do it, definitely go talk to your coaches or counselors, whoever's the point person there. See if there's any way to make it so that you could attend a speech debate on Wednesdays. I know a lot of students are able to get that exception, but at the end of the day, ultimately, if you cannot attend that Wednesday meeting, then you'll have to take Extemp off of your list of events that you would potentially choose. So hopefully that all makes sense. Extemp, at the end of the day, I think is pretty straightforward in terms of what we're asking. It's just that exciting prospect of being able to learn that skill of fluency.